Hello everybody and welcome to another Minion Masters video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Morellia the Lich Queen, the newest hero in the game, and 3 different decks that you can use to help yourself get wins and grind to Grandmaster. These decks are going to be looking to take advantage of her first and second perks. Mainly the Spirit and, depending on the deck, the Forbidden Knowledge perk, and building into a strong Queen's Dragon in Phase 3. For these different decks, we're going to be taking a look at Cheap Date, Wild Arms, and this is the deck that I use to grind to Grandmaster, as well as Team Spirit. And each ones are going to have different ways that they are able to take advantage of Morellia's perks. We're going to start with Wild Arms and start a match. And this deck was based off of a Milloween deck that I was using. And I replaced the Arcane Golem, since Morellia doesn't have that, with the Dragon Whelp and the Soul Stealer, which blend really well with the Spirit perk. Alright, our first match has begun, and as you can see, I don't have an opening hand that can get us any of the bridges early, so we're going to opt for mana generation and defense. And the main way that we want to be playing this deck is to use the Thorns and the Wall to defend, while then creating a counter push with a Call to Arms. The strategy that I like to use here is I'll stagger them out a little bit, and that way they don't end up too bunched up. Now, I made a little bit of a mistake here. I was hoping that my Soul Stealer would jump on their Empowered Soul Stealer. It didn't work that way. So what I'll do here instead is a Dragon Whelp once the Empowered Soul Stealer gets on the tower, and that way my tower can tank a little bit, and my Dragon Whelp can kill the Empowered Soul Stealer. The thing is that, yeah, I had to take a little bit of damage to do that, but this way I can at least reset and continue the battle. I'm going to have a lot more difficulty dealing with that if more minions build up, so it's better to just clear everything out and settle with our losses there. Alright, we're going to get another push going, and as you can see, we've got some werewolves on the way. I'm going to distract it with a Screaming Scrap and get a couple of those warriors out there. And as you can see, the enraged werewolves are dealing a lot of damage. We're going to get some flyers in to protect and get ready for a second call. Now, what's happened here is, as we mentioned before, we had a sort of a bad hand, and then we also had a little bit of a bad start right there, so we had to play some catch-up from the very beginning. But our primary goal right here is getting to a rotation that has the counters that we need when they're available to us. So as you can see here again, I'm going to get that Empowered Soul Stealer the same way as we did before, and get it onto that tower and let it tank right there. This time the Black Hole is used to protect it, and I was a tick slow right there on the wall, but I was hoping to be able to save the Dragon Whelp by dropping the wall and therefore getting that Empowered Soul Stealer to attack the wall instead of the Whelp. Didn't work that way, and we had to trade, but we reset and we've got a push going the other direction. We've got some more werewolves coming, and you can better believe they're going to be getting enraged here in a moment. And as you can see, since we've hit perk 2, we can now expand the spirit aspect of this perk, and that can be really helpful because we're getting 3 warriors out at a time, as well as potentially having a Soul Stealer or a Dragon Whelp out, and all of these are cards that benefit a lot from that 200 extra health. You get a lot more mileage out of each of them when they have a little bit more survivability. And we're going to have another Soul Stealer battle right here, and this time we're going to get that Dragon Whelp on it to weather the storm. And even though everything died there, I felt good about that. We got the Empowered Soul Stealer down, and they had to use a Chain Lightning to defend it, so that I kind of looked at as a positive mana trade. Not a big one, but a positive one. Alright, we're going to set up another push going here, and as you can see, we finally broken free and gotten some damage in. And this is where you can see the Soul Stealer can really be effective. We're getting things from across the bridge and helping out. This was a big Chain Lightning right here, and it's always good to keep Chain Lightning handy. It's one of those cards where you're going to be tempted to use it, but you want to find it at the right opportunity. You don't want that opportunity to be there without a chain lightning in your hand. There's a black hole happening right there in the middle of the battlefield, and it's going to slow us down a little bit, but we're going to keep pushing, even though the werewolf is coming this way, and we're going to kill that before it gets here pretty much. We're going to have a second push going, and this way, as soon as they have a counter to what we have already on the tower, we have another group going right after it already, and this is how we're going to keep pressure throughout the rest of the match. And as you can see, we've got our Queen's Dragon out. This is a big moment for us because Morellia, while very powerful in perk 1 and 2, if your perk 3 doesn't go well, this is definitely a hero that can be left at a disadvantage in perk 3 if you don't take advantage of the dragon. So we're going to get as much mileage out of that as we can. And although I wouldn't say this would be my ideal way to have used the dragon, the fact is it tanked quite a bit, and we were able to get to this tower, get a couple more hits in, and basically get ourselves within spell range. We have a little bit more of a push going here. You can see the spirits are hitting our warriors, and that'll get us right there for the victory. That was a really good match right there, and as you can see, it didn't start out great, but once we settled in, got the rotation correct, and got the correct counters, we were able to do something with it. Now let's take a look at our second deck, Cheap Date. And we're going to be revolving this a little bit more around the Spirit and Forbidden Knowledge, primarily to get Blind Date and Beam of Doom a little bit cheaper, and take advantage of the fact that some of these minions here are great with extra Spirit. Let's go ahead and get into that next battle, and here we go.
Masters, get ready.
And as you can see, we're up against Ravager for this, so we can expect a strong perk 1 and 3 push.
Victory.
We're going to open up with a split scrat right here to grab the bridge. And it's always nice when you can get a little bit of extra EXP nice and early like that, and still not have it affect the mana flow too much. We've got some Plasma Marines coming our way, and I'm going to look to get that Blind Date down early, and got a nice little aimbot right there. And we're coming across the bridge here. We've got an infiltration coming down, and we've got the Fire Imp to sort of clear that out. And the Fire Imp is a big piece of this deck. This is pretty much your crowd control in this deck, so the Fire Imp is a big one. You're going to really want to get the Fire Imp behind some of your tankier minions. And as you can see, we've got an army of Scrats coming, but this is perfect for the Curse Bearer right there. Get those attracted to the Curse Bearer, get them all cursed up, and just block everything. Now, we've got our Brutus coming out right here, and I'm just going to get the Cleaver right there. I think that's the most effective way to deal with the Best Buds perk, and I got a little bonus right there with the Cleaver. I'm getting a lot of value out of this one, and even a hit on the tower. Alright, I'll take it. So we have a good early push going right here, but there's an infiltration to ruin the fun and clear that out. One of the great things, though, about this deck, you can see my Xiaolong just got some Spirit, and it also has Frenzy and a Shield. Look at all this damage that that's getting in, and it's kind of difficult to deal with it, even after the Succubus was doing its thing. I still got a good 5-6 hits in right there, so you can see Spirit really complementing some of the other abilities of Xiaolong. We're going to get a whole, just any minions we can really right there to deal with the Cleaver. The more distractions, the better, and we get a Fireball down to deal with our push, and ultimately it'll be a battle at the bridge for the most part there. That Cleaver is gonna break through a little bit more, but not before we can start setting up a follow-up push. Here I'm going to use our living statue as a tank rather than our tower, as it's getting a little bit close right here, and I'm not necessarily concerned about the living statue getting all of the way to the tower. I'm more concerned about the minions getting to the tower. I want to use that living statue as just defense in that particular situation. There's going to be other times when you really do want to get it to the tower, but that was more of a defensive living statue, and let our towers clean everything up. We have another infiltration coming right there, and as you can see, really effective at getting a lot of quick damage in and clearing out a big push. And you can see how they can focus fire as well as hit a few different targets all at once. We're going to go with a fire imp right here. Oh, sorry, take that back. Gonna hold that fire imp for a moment and blow up that incubus and succubus, because man, those things, they put a lot of hurt on that tower. And with the perk of getting 2 less mana on that, you're getting a 5/7 swing right there. I'll take it. So here we now get that fire imp, and really just using it to its natural abilities here. As you can see, even when it gets swarmed, it can deal with the swarm before the swarm can deal with it. And there it goes. It's still going, still burning things, and it just does a lot of damage too. Once you get caught up in that fire, it'll burn you down real quick, and it'll just keep on burning until that thing is down. And as you can see, we've got another Xiaolong that gets us into Beam of Doom range, and we'll finish it off with a Beam of Doom. So another solid match right there, and we're going to take another look here at our next deck. Team Spirit. And you can see right here we're a little bit less reliant on spells. We're a little bit more reliant on minions. So we're going to be focusing primarily on the Spirit perk for Morellia. Alright, let's get into a match. And on this particular match, it happens to be one that, while it was a great match, I didn't come out the victor in this one. But it was such a good match that I wanted to include it and just show some really good play on both sides. So let's take a look at this one. And as you can see, we've got quite the audience right here. We'll do our split scrat to grab the bridge. And we've got a Xiaolong coming across the bridge. What I'm going to do here is we're just going to scrat tank it, and what I like about the scrat tank here is since it's not engaged in battle, you can kind of just use it as a, a true tank basically. If I could redo that, I definitely would have put the Xiaolong further back. There was definitely a placement mistake made right there. So if I were, like I said, just all the way in the back, probably would have played a little bit better. It might have attracted the Xiaolong to the scrat tank instead, but that's what happens sometimes. Placement matters. So we're going to use a Divine Warrior to block this werewolf attack, and as you can see here, the Fire Imp is getting those werewolves out of our hair quick, and right here an Empowered Soul Stealer just getting some major damage in. Not a lot that we could do with that. We'll eventually get our way to a Harbinger, but as you can see, between the Empowered Soul Stealer and the Xiaolong, that was about half of our health of our tower. Not good. Alright, so we're going to get our split scrat back on and try and get back in front on EXP. When you're having a Morellia mirror match, you definitely want to be keeping pace with your opponent. I don't necessarily think it's always the best to be the first one to drop the dragon, but you don't want to be so far behind that they can devastate you with the dragon drop and you can't do anything about it. And you don't want to be in a place where maybe you drop the dragon and then they can take advantage of the fact that you dropped it by dropping their own defensively and then getting a better dragon play. So these are things you want to think about in the mirror match. We've got some good damage going in on the tower, and right here you can see just kind of the power of the scrat tank once we get all the way through to the tower. I'm going to set up a sniper right there, but I was a little slow with the Shock Rock, and this might have been the one thing I'd have done differently with this deck. Is I'm a little bit more of a comfortable player with Chain Lightning, and I might have considered Chain Lightning in this particular deck for myself, as I'm more experienced with that particular card. Here we're going to use the Scrat Tank to do what it's there for, tank, and we're going to get the Xiaolong in the back to clean everything up and just kind of take advantage of all that tanking being done. The Empowered Soul Stealer is causing a beating though, so we're going to get the Sniper and the Xiaolong to deal with it once it gets on the tower. And as you can see in this battle, a lot of back and forth. That would kind of be the definitive feature I've noticed a lot in Morellia mirror matches, or just matches or Morellia versus Morellia where the decks are similar or not, is that there is a definite flow to the pushes, and you're going to play defensively, you're going to take advantage of the fact that you have your Spirit perk, and then that's going to translate into some offense, and weathering the storm on the way back is just, you know, a huge aspect of keeping pace with your opponent, not getting overmatched or overwhelmed. And as you can see right here, we've got a little bit of trouble coming. The werewolves have broken in all the way. We've got an Empowered Soul Stealer getting some frenzy damage in, and that's going to be good game right there. And while that was a really close match, you can definitely see how that last push, I didn't defend quite too properly. I got the Harbinger in the back, and I would have maybe preferred to go offensive on that one. Alright, let's get ourselves into another match. And as you can see here, I'm going to start off with a split scrat met with another split scrat. And sometimes you can use your Screaming Scrat to distract it and actually keep the bridge. I didn't get it that time. We're going to let that Xiaolong get taken care of by the tower. Hardly any damage at all, so better just to save the mana and get the push you want. And we're going to open up here right now. So this is where I kind of made a mistake. I put that Sniper up on the bridge, and I really should have put it back. You got to let a Sniper snipe, and just it's got such great range, you got to take advantage of it. I was hoping that I would get one of those minions down a little bit quicker, and then the Sniper would take out the Succubus. It didn't quite work out that way, and it's better to just work your way to that rather than leave your Sniper vulnerable on the bridge. So you can see they're getting a pretty solid push here, followed up by a pretty devastating Beam of Doom. They're going to get some good damage in on this tower, as well as some good trap damage there on the side. But we'll clean that up and begin regenerating that mana for a push the other way. Way behind, by the way, in EXP, so we're going to have to do something about that. And we're going to go ahead and get some Spirit on that Harbinger. Always a good idea to get that buff going there. And we're going to use the Scrat Tank to basically just help clean up slash cause distractions for the Harbinger right there. Let it get as much damage in as it can, and we've got a good push going right here. That's a very nice Morgul pull right there, and as you can see, it did a really good job of blowing up those flightless dragons, and then a nice Beam of Doom on the Harbinger, which takes care of it very easily. Alright, we're going to get some damage in, and that's one of the reasons why I like splitting the flight dragons usually at the bridge, is even though two of them got taken care of in the AoE, I had one over there just getting some good damage in, and they hit pretty hard, so take advantage of it. I was hoping I could get a little bit of cross-bridge action with that Sniper. I could not, and as a result it was left vulnerable and lost another one at the bridge, but that's okay. We're going to have to set up some defense. We've got a push coming right here, and some heals coming as well, so just this whole push right here needs a little bit of defense. I'm going to go Divine Warrior. They have a Rammer coming in, and this looks like a job for the Fire Imp to take care of all those bunched up minions. And this is really one of the things that I love about the Fire Imp right there, that was really 14 mana worth of minions taken care of just because they were all bunched up right there. And unless you deal with that fire imp right away, that's, you know, that was pretty devastating to my defense right there. Had I not been able to stay with that fight, you know, that could have been the end of the game. But getting all of those things out so quickly definitely helped. Alright, we've got a push coming across the top bridge. Xiaolong's going to get some damage in. A nicely placed Morgul right there to take care of the sniper, but not before he can get a couple of shots in. And we'll go ahead and take care of that as well. And we've got a Succubus and a Xiaolong coming across the bridge. And right now what I'm doing is figuring out, alright, what can I begin to snipe? And there you see a fireball on the sniper, and conventional wisdom tells you fireball 4, sniper 3, not a good trade. I think that was a great trade, because even though they lost on the direct mana value, they gained by not having me snipe things for 3 really cheap from across the bridge. And in that way they actually saved themselves a lot of mana just by fireballing it and getting it out of the way. Alright, so you've got a good push coming in here. They're going to get their defenses set up, and that Xiaolong is getting some damage in. Our Harbinger is going to get taken care of by the Succubus, and we're going to get a couple more hits in. This is where I normally would love to have a spell to close it out, but we're using Shock in this one, a little bit more minion based, so we're going to have to break our way in. We're going to grab that bridge up at the top and prepare ourselves for a Queen's Dragon dropping right here. And really what I like about the Queen's Dragon in this particular situation, or this spot I guess you could say, is we just needed something to distract while we reset and finished off getting that last little bit of damage, and that did it. And we're going to take a Beam of Doom and a Fireball to the tower, and that's definitely got us close to death, but not quite all the way. And we've got a push coming in. We're going to get that target dummy out of the way, and we've got our dragon now has made it across. We'll get that final hit in and victory. And that was one of those cases where you want to be careful if you're gonna use spells on the tower. You want to make sure that it's either going to finish it off or you've left some mana for defense on the other end. You don't want to get caught in a situation where you can't defend the push coming the other way. And especially since I had Queen's Dragon out, you knew it was going to be a strong push. You know, it cleaned everything up. It still had a lot of health, and that allowed me to overwhelm with the amount of mana that they had right there. So I hope you enjoyed our look at 3 different Morellia the Lich Queen decks, each of them playing a little bit differently and taking advantage of her perks differently. Let's take one last look at our decks that we use today, and as mentioned before, the cards and options that you have within them are interchangeable. For example, we talked about taking out the Shock Rock in favor of a Chain Lightning that fit my playstyle a little bit more, and there's a lot of options throughout the game as there's so many different cards and combinations to use. The main thing is you want to find a deck that helps you with your playstyle while still taking advantage of the power of Morellia's perks. Thank you again for watching our video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.